This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel Abraham, joined by Damon McDonald. I'm going to start you off with a sports question, Damon, because I've seen this name popping up on my timeline and I've no idea who he is or what's going on, but it sounds quite exciting. So Booze asks, hockey reporter Damon's thoughts on Tom Wilson's latest shenanigans. So who's Tom Wilson and why should we care? What's going on?
Tom Wilson is obviously an NHL hockey player. Hello, everyone, by the way. Good morning. Tom, I can't believe we're starting off talking about Tom Wilson, of all people. Tom Wilson is a hockey player who plays for the Washington Capitals. Tom Wilson has a very large reputation for being a bit of a roughhouse kind of hockey player. To the point where he's been suspended and fined and brought in front of the league for various, you can't even say infractions. These are pretty serious things that this clown does, with intent to hurt people. So he has some skill, but he's mostly known for these bonehead, asinine things that he does on the ice. Fights, cheap shots, that kind of stuff. Well, he's in a scrum the other day with the New York Rangers. And the New York Rangers have a star, Panarin, is the last name. And he doesn't fight. I mean, this guy's small. He's a skilled player. And in this scrum, Tom pounds on Panarin on like he ragdolls him, basically throws him down to the ice and just hops on top of him and starts pounding away. Now, keep in mind that Panarin did kind of jump into to save another player that Wilson was trying to smash into the ice. Anywho, I guess the biggest thing that came of this is the league laid down like a real weak fine. Not a suspension, no nothing. A real weak fine because the player is out for the season. Like he injured the player for the season. And there's not many games left and the playoffs are right around the corner and the Rangers are fighting for a playoff spot. And does anybody else care? Anyway, the Rangers put out this press release, this tweet statement, whatever, basically blasting the NHL, like their own league, and says that the director of player safety should be fired. So that's great when your own team is blasting the league that you're in. And it was like as if it wasn't like some weak response. It was, this person is incompetent and should not be playing, or should not be governing in our league, which was pretty in a league like hockey where everything is very you don't raise many waves. It was quite a night last night for when it came to that. So that's Tom Wilson. He's basically the modern day equivalent of a goon. And they play tonight. So if there's any way that you can watch this game, Joel, I would say watch this hockey game because there will be plenty of shenanigans going on because these two teams play again tonight.
And will Tom Wilson be taking part? Has he been suspended or
no? He's been fined.
No suspension for it.
No suspension.
Just a fine. That's
so the
wild.
Rangers are like the press is interviewing the Rangers, and they're like, well, okay, if the league's not going to take care of it, we're going to take care of it. And they're going to call up like from their minor league team this guy who, like, the Rangers really don't have anybody that can fight. They don't have really anybody that's really can physically match Tom Wilson. They're calling up a guy whose sole role is to do that in the minors. they're going to call him up. So there's going to be bullshit aplenty tonight. There's going to be 1,000 fights. Yeah.
I mean, this is an issue that pops up in football from time to time. There have been several notable Arsenal players in the past who've been on the receiving end of really horrific challenges because traditionally we've had a reputation where we can be out-muscled. If you can physically intimidate Arsenal, then you'll stop them from playing their pretty football and you can get up with them. And a few times that's led to really reckless challenges with broken legs and career-shortening injuries. And the punishment for that, the maximum that happens really, is a red card and a 3-match ban, which is a lot of people say is insufficient. Some people saying that the suspension should be as long as the victim is out injured. So if the opponent you injure is out for the season, then you're out for the season as well. I mean, do you have any strong thoughts on what you think the repercussions should be for dangerous behaviour like that?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that this guy has been an issue, and he has been suspended before, and he has been fined before. It's not like this is the first time, and it's like, oops, I made I got a little heat of the moment. This guy's has a long history. Listen, Rangers have lost arguably their best player. They're one of their best goal scorers, that's for sure. And again, they're fighting for a spot for the playoffs, and there's only a handful of games left, and he's out. He is out for the season with this injury that was caused by this guy ragdolling him to the ice.
And sorry, just so I'm clear, this was the puck wasn't in play when this is going on. This isn't like two people challenging for the puck and someone's coming out worse for wear. This is violent contact. It's an assault, basically.
Well, okay, so the puck is in play. So there was a scoring chance, and it turned into a bit of a scrum in front of the net, right? So bodies are everywhere, right? People are falling, trying to get the puck, and Wilson is on top of another player who's face down on the ice while this is happening, and just decides to jump on top of him and start pummeling him, right, on the ice. So yes, now then.
Okay, so this is not just so I'm clear. This is not like a reckless tackle or something that can be sort of within conceivably the remit of some sort of attempt to play the puck or something. No. This is just one guy wailing on another one.
Yeah, you see, he's like pushing this guy into the ice. Then Panarin, the star player, sees this, all going on. And he's trying to protect the guy that Wilson is first on top of pummeling, jumps on top of him to pull him off. And again, Panarin is, smaller than you, Joel. Wilson takes him to the board. He's trying. They kind of wrestle to the boards, and then it was just a total mismatch, and Wilson destroys Panarin. Again, the argument is well, Panarin jumped on his back. What is he supposed to do? And blah blah blah. And the other argument is that there's no one to stop Tom Wilson from doing anything on the ice that he doesn't, that he wants to do. There's the Rangers just doesn't, they don't match up physically. So that is the other argument. But there is no argument for the fact that this guy, put him out for the season in a very reckless way. I don't know if you've seen the tapes of it, but like he punches and punches and punches and punches, and then just grabs him by. It's kind of like it just grabs him by the. It looked like by the hair. It almost looked like underneath his helmet, and just threw him down to the ice, and then pounded him again. I don't know. Like, it wasn't the most gross thing I've ever seen in hockey. Like I don't, because there's been worse, but it's just this. It's just one guy. This is not just like an isolated incident of a guy just losing his cool. This guy's been in trouble for a long time. It's not the first time. So I don't know. It's like, and again, I think the bigger issue was that the league just laid down like a $5,000 fine or something ridiculously small. And the Rangers are like, what the fuck? We lost our star player because of this dickhead. So there you go. Hockey talk with Joel and Damon.
Sounds like this Tom Wilson character should be in Bullet Club or Suzuki-gun or something.
Right. He really should. Yeah. So again, they play tonight. So we'll see. That should be a interesting one. Let's put it that way. If you like skilled hockey, this might not be the game you want to watch. This is going to be lots of stoppages, lots of scrums, and I'm sure plenty of fights. And here's the thing: Wilson's not going to back down. Like, he's not a guy that's like going to cower down and be like, "Okay, I'm not going to take my lumps." Like, he'll swing with people, but there's going to be some swinging. And here's the thing: I think the Rangers, they play the Capitals is who they play. Their star players, the Capitals, better have their head on a swivel because they're gonna get targeted too. So. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts.
Very interesting, Damon. I do like to sort of dip into the other sports to see what's going on, because certainly New Japan hasn't been setting the world on fire recently, or at least it hadn't until Night 2 of Dontaku, which we'll come on to. But it's a weird time for New Japan right now. They're just doing a lot of strange things. I saw something popping up. A friend of the show, Kieran, the guy who makes the GIFs, Kieran RH on Twitter, TVSR, he's been going after him with the copyright strikes, which it just seems like a really bizarre own goal to me. Kieran's out there helping to what I think is spreading hype and publicity. People see him posting GIFs and think, oh, look, there's a show on, I better check it out. And, oh, that looks really cool, I'm going to have a look at this match. And having the copyright warnings and the ban slapped on his accounts, that one's a real head scratcher for me. I don't understand it at all. I think it's a big mistake.
Yeah, I do too. But let me ask you this: is that New Japan or is that TV Asahi?
It's TV Asahi. I mean, this is fairly common, I think, in the world of in Japanese media. I know it happens for other things, like in the anime world, for example. They're very protective and heavy-handed with the content, the copyright warnings and that, which is a shame. I think they're missing out there.
Oh, look, we all know that it is a dumb move, especially now when they need everything they can to regain the steam that they lost. And the people at New Japan, I'm sure there are people there that support the idea of people, doing everything they can to promote the company, and this is certainly the least of their concerns, is a fan who loves the product helping others see and expose themselves to this product. So look, there's probably one person who just is doing their job and saying, if I see something, I gotta fly, without really understanding the idea that it's hurting more than it's helping. So, New Japan is in a bit of a weird state, but I'll be very truthful. I'll put up with a lot of weird stuff if I could have what I saw the other night. And I know we're going to get into the woods and into the weeds. Whew, that felt good. That felt really good.
Let's get straight into it then. I do have some things I want to talk about the landscape in New Japan, but it does feel that people are tuning in. They want to hear what we have to say about this match, right? So we're talking Dontaku, Wrestling Dontaku Night 2, Fukuoka, Tuesday, May the 4th. I'm not going to talk about any of the undercard because I did not watch it. But the fifth match, the main event, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match with Will Ospreay in his first successful defense against the challenger Shingo Takagi in 44 minutes, 53 seconds with the Stormbreaker. And, well, this was a breath of fresh air, wasn't it, Damon? I mean, I love this match. Oh. And I've got to proceed this with separate the art from the artist. If you're someone who can't enjoy Will Ospreay's wrestling because of all the shit that he's done, more power to you. Totally cool, respect that, sure. Personally, I'm okay with it. I can separate the art from the artist. I can look at the person and think, dickhead, and I can look at this match and think, wow. I mean, it's hard to know where to start, really. I mean, it's probably, for me, the best in their series, and the bar for that was pretty high as it was. and it's great to see the progression throughout those matches. You know, they're learning each other's moves, so you get lots of reversals, and I know the reversals are divisive for a lot of people, but personally I felt it made sense for their rivalry. You know, you got this underlying story of Ospreay's newfound power catching Shingo off guard in their New Japan Cup final match. And so now this match, it was slower. It was a more tactical match to start with Shingo. He's working a bit more deliberately on Ospreay's back, and Ospreay was going after Shingo's arm, trying to take out his power arm, you know, for the lariat, the pumping bomber that he does. And then just little throwbacks to the continuity, like Shingo managing to reverse the backdrop onto the guardrail, which was the move that messed him up in the New Japan Cup final, or exploiting Will Ospreay's broken nose to turn the tide at several points in that match. And those, Damon, those are the kind of developments I like to see in a series of matches, not just repeating spots for the sake of it, like, you know, the Ibushi Ospreay
stare off into
backflip
space
thing. Yeah, exactly, because that didn't add anything. That was just like, hey, do you remember this cool shit? But this was like adding layers to the story, the little twists and subversions that show that they're learning and adapting. The striking was hard, it was crisp, they really laid into each other, they didn't hold back. I thought the pacing was excellent. They built up slowly, they built up purposefully. Unlike previous matches between them where they were just throwing everything at each other from Jump Street at 100 miles an hour. I mean, they did, in this match, they did have the crowd please at high-paced back and forth exchanges, which, you know, they're just like a blur to watch sometimes. But they stood out more. They were more impactful because they were spaced out and allowed to breathe. It was like both wrestlers knew they were going to be in for a long, drawn-out war, so they wanted to pace themselves. This match had emotion. Like, you could feel both guys putting every shred of their being into this real struggle to be the best wrestler in the company, getting in each other's faces like a pair of alpha male prize fighters. And it didn't need anything else. It didn't need any corny storyline extras. It's just two outstanding wrestlers with a history fighting over the top belt. I liked the little tributes to Kushida with a hoverboard lock and Okada with a Rainmaker. It was like Ospreay's picking up tools and weapons from his previous rivalries to get the edge over Shingo. The bumping was incredible. These guys just ragdolling for each other, making every single move look devastating. We had spectacular moments like the incredible Made in Japan through the tables that sliced open Ospreay's back. He was bleeding all over the place. And I really love the way they sold the escalating fatigue in the match. Like, they had, after that spot with the table, that Ospreay collapsing with exhaustion when Shingo's trying to get him up for the pumping bomb. Like, he could barely stay on his feet, or, you know, him being unable to lift up Shingo for the Stormbreaker. And then just some insane sequences in the latter stages. Like, there was that Poison Rana exchange where they're doing that delayed cell, you're digging deep just to sort of hold off the pain for 2 seconds so Ospreay can lay in a hidden blade before he drops to the mat. I mean, Damon, this match had everything. It was 44 minutes that to me felt like 14 minutes. All killer, no filler, no bullshit. It was just two world-class wrestlers at their absolute best, leaving everything in the ring. And usually when I watch a wrestling match, I'll have some sort of criticisms that could improve it. I got nothing for these guys. Like, for my taste, this was in-ring, it was perfect. You know, it was right up there with the Omega Okada matches. It was a modern classic for me. And the new title desperately needed this. I think New Japan desperately needed this. I desperately needed this for my fandom, because I was kind of checking out after night one. And I know I'm certainly not alone with that. And people have got questions. Elliot says, why did Ospreay and Shingo go 45 minutes feel just right, whereas Jay and Tanahashi going 40 felt like an eternity? And Steel O'Neill says, does the Ospreay-Takagi feud now sit alongside Okada-Tanahashi and Okada-Omega as one of the modern all-time classics? So where do you land on it, Damon?
Wow. You nailed it when you said we needed this. Holy shit, did we need this? And I'll tell you what, when we sit here and do reviews of shows and we talk about how undercards can struggle, but if you get a killer main event or solid main event, it takes away a lot of the bullshit that you had to sit through. And the problem, a big problem that people had was you didn't have that main event that helped put it over the top for you. This was amazing. This match was fucking fantastic. You're right. 44 minutes, whatever it was, 40-something minutes, felt like not once was I like looking at the clock being like, oh, will this fucking thing get done? I wanted another 20 minutes. Quite honestly, I felt like I could stomach, and not stomach. And I say that in a sounds bad, but I wanted more. Oh, what a fantastic yeah! It was better than their other matches, which were great and at the top of our year-end awards. It was a progression in their matches that this one felt like it wasn't a juniors match. This felt like a heavyweight championship match. And in this match, I felt like I got more into it and more into it and more into it and more into it. And that is great pro wrestling. When they're coming out and their music hits and you're like, all right, here you go. This is going to be good. And the 5-minute mark, the 10-minute mark, and now you're really getting invested in it and you're really feeling it and you're feeling the near falls. This was, I mean, look, when you think of these two names, I'm going to be honest, I don't necessarily think of hard-hitting heavyweight action. They were cracking each other. I mean, teeing off on each other. How about that headbutt spot? You know what I mean? It's like, talk about a throwback. The headbutt spot. There were more than a few times where kicks and strikes had me out of my seat. Closing stretch was fantastic. The pacing was it brought you down, it brought you back up. Look, I watched the English version. I listened to Kevin Kelly's call. And again, there's something to be said about when a commentator like Kevin Kelly, who's seen a lot of pro wrestling, is telling you this is the best match he's ever called. That's pretty amazing. And him losing his mind. And when he loses his mind, I kind of lose my mind too sometimes. Like he's like, Jesus Christ. Like that. I was laughing my ass off because I'm right there with him. Look, I think this is an easy nominee for a match of the year. I don't know how anybody tops this. Shingo and Will might be my feud of the year, and I would put their series of matches right up there with the best of pro wrestling series of match. You know, your Omegas and Okadas. I absolutely would put them in the same class and category. The title needed this. The match felt important. What it did was it put the spaceship landed on my chest, and it jump-started my love of pro wrestling again. Because let's be truthful, it was ready to flatline. And that match, this is the first time in a long time that I felt that juice. I felt excited after watching a pro wrestling match. I felt invigorated. I felt, again, I say it a lot. You feel 5 stars? I felt it. That was an amazing pro wrestling match. And what's funny is when people who have tuned out got wind of this match, and I had to text people that you need to carve out some time and watch this match. And the responses back were, oh my God, this is great. This is fucking great. This was fantastic. So, yeah. The problem is, and you tell me, Joel, because I don't know if this is the case. What's the buzz on this match online? Like, what are people feeling it? Is there a renewed excitement about New Japan? What's the story online?
Depends where you go. I know most people in Voices Wrestling Stat were really high on it. I know Joe and Rich loved it as much as we did, or Joe did at least. Our Discord is a bit cooler on Will Ospreay. They're not so much of a fan of his wrestling style. So if you were to look in our Discord, then the praise is not as high for it as we're giving it. But it seemed, in what I'm seeing on Twitter, everyone loved it. The problem is, right, and this is something we've talked about before, that it's not doing much to reverse the narrative now that New Japan is the 5-star matches in a vacuum promotion. And I guess we can come back to this when we've discussed some of the other matches over the last week, but it feels like we've got the delicious filling of the sandwich, but we're losing the bread. Like the bread is mouldy. The filling is delicious, but the bread is mouldy, if you'll forgive that tortured analogy. So I don't know if a truly outstanding main event is going to be enough for people to say, oh yeah, no, New Japan's good again, for want of a better phrase.
Right. I mean, as a whole, there are plenty of issues, but like there's been plenty of shows before where the undercard has really stunk. And again, the issues are much more grand right now, but like I'm going to be truthful. The all I think about is that match. Like, I don't give a shit about that Evil and Dick Togo against Tanahashi and fucking Yano match that was right before it. That match was maybe one of the shittiest matches I've seen in years. I fucking hated every second of it, and I'm laughing at how much I'm hate watching it. It was awful. Tanahashi can't even get the fucking hood thing on. It was just brutal.
Well, maybe that's the new normal now. This is how we should consume New Japan. You look at the cards and you think, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good. I'm going to watch that. The rest of it, I'm going to give it a miss because there's so much content. Like I said before, it's the content era. So just you parachute in and out for the different matches that you think good. I just pop in, watch the top 2 matches. That's it. That's enough for me. Especially with these shows coming up. This is not the end of this. Well, I mean, there's some COVID things to be discussed, but yeah, maybe this is, rather than the days of sitting down thinking, okay, this is Wrestling Dontaku, I'm going to sit watch from the first match until the main event. This is not the best way to consume the product anymore.
You might be right about that. I mean, you might be right about that. It's everything else is, I mean, for 2 days, I mean, what did we have? I thought Jay and Tana was good. I don't think it was great. But then we had a spectacular main event. And you knew it was on paper. You knew it was going to be really good, at least, right? You knew when you turn off the TV after that match, you weren't going to be like, this match sucked. Like, you knew you were going to get some pretty great shit. We just didn't know how great it was going to be.
And also, you can look at Wrestle Grand Slam at Tokyo Dome coming up in a few weeks and see Ospreay versus Okada at the top of the card, and know, you can nail that in. That's an ironclad guarantee you're going to get an incredible match there as well.
Right, exactly. So yeah, maybe you're right. Look, we have access. It's both a blessing and a curse. The fact that we have access to every single show. Right? When, truth be told, we don't need to have access to every single show. We really don't. And if you're a fan enough to sit through Road 2 shows that are just there, then go for it. It's there. But the fact that don't be disappointed by the fact that there's all this content out there that, quite honestly, you don't have to watch. You don't have to watch. Nobody has to watch. If you want to watch it, watch it. But even for us, like, okay, so we're an authority of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I giggle at that. Do we need to watch every Road 2 show? Do we need to give our thoughts to, Road 2 shows? I don't know. Like sometimes I feel like we're filling content. You know what I mean? Like, we do a show every week, and we want to do a show every week, and New Japan has a show, so we might as well talk about that Why are we talking about that? So they're filling content. We're filling content, talking about stuff that we know doesn't matter. So yeah, you're right. Maybe that's the way to go in the future. Maybe that's the way everyone should go. And I think people would enjoy the product much more. Find the shit that you like and watch that. And if you're a person that can watch the whole thing and get enjoyment out of it, go for it. Knock yourself out. I don't know. Weather's nice outside. Hockey's on. It is what it is. You got a kid. You know what I mean?
Well, to use another analogy, it would be like watching a pornographic movie, and then you're not watching it for the story, are you, Damon? You're going to say, "Oh, got to see the build up here."
No. Yeah. Imagine not being able to fast forward while watching that. Get to the good stuff. Get to the stuff. Yeah, you're right. You're not in this to. You got 10 minutes. Just go take care of what you got to take care of. It is like that to a certain degree. But yes, to circle back, what a fucking great match. Just such a it really is amazing how you still can get great matches. Isn't that amazing? Like, after you think you've seen it all, you see something like that, and it's just like, oh. When was the last time you felt like that watching a pro wrestling match? Like, I can't. Like, we've seen great matches. Don't get me wrong. We've seen great matches, but when was the last time you could really be like, holy fuck, that knocked my fucking pants off? It's been a while, hasn't it?
I want to ask, do you feel that these two guys are the two best wrestlers in the world? Because, to me, Wrestler of the Year looks like it's a two-horse race here, for New Japan at least. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Who's putting out matches like these two? Who's not in this company, right? Not in this company. So now I'm going to have to ask the question: Will or Shingo?
For me, personally,
yeah.
Well, let's look at their resumes for this year. So, Ospreay had the Okada match at Wrestle Kingdom, which was excellent. I'm not going to miss the Zack Sabre Jr. match in the New Japan Cup. That was fantastic as well. I love that. 2 Shingo matches. This one was outstanding. Shingo's got the Cobb match at Wrestle Kingdom, which I really love. The Tanahashi Never title match.
Okada, New Japan Cup.
Yes. Oh, it's really difficult. I'd have to ask me again in December.
Yeah, really, seriously.
Very, very close,
but isn't that great? Think about that. Again, everybody's kind of down on the New Japan, and we get it. Again, we're right there with you. And Will and Shingo, dude, are fucking amazing. These two guys are fucking amazing. And it's not like this is the first year we're talking about these two guys. And here's the thing, too. I will say this. Will's got Okada coming up. And what does Shingo have? Like, Shingo needs to have a marquee match somewhere in these summer months. And G1, after the Olympics, we haven't even talked about G1 yet. Let's be very truthful here, too. We have not put G1 into the equation yet. But Will does have another big-time marquee match in a big building where he's headlining for the first time. Let's put it this way: he's being put in a nice place to make another great impression. So, again, for all the faults, this is some great stuff, and this is. I'm telling you, I know I'm saying this to people who don't give a shit what Damon and Joel have to say, but this is what we want. That is, and you can't get that all the time, or maybe you can. I don't know. That is what. And here's the thing, too, Joel. No bullshit whatsoever, was there? There wasn't one bit of bullshit in that match. And there could have been. United Kingdom was out at ringside. That could have been no bullshit. And here's the thing, too. The majority of their matches, not a lot of bullshit. They might be my favorite faction, Joel. I got to be honest. They might be my favorite faction.
You got to ask yourself, what would New Japan look like without United Empire right now?
Yeah.
It'd be pretty fucking dry, in my opinion. I mean, opinions may vary, but if you take out Ospreay and Jeff Cobb and Great Khan and even Hinare, despite his mixed record so far, it would look pretty dull, in my opinion, if you were to take away that faction.
Yep. Yeah, right? I mean, and now you compare that to Bullet Club or... I'm just saying, it would be tough sledding, as they say. Let's put it that way.
So to dust off an old phrase from the Purocast days, which we don't hear very often, pants down, right? You had your pants down watching this.
Pants were fucking down. Yeah. Look, this is my match of the year so far. I mean, and this will be hard to beat. I'll tell you that. If I'm talking about this in that Omega Okada world, you know this was great. And again, I know we don't like stars, but we're talking star. It's full marks, 5s. I felt this, and I haven't felt this in many a moon. This was really fucking great pro wrestling.
So we're talking pants down, hard to beat. How are we looking down there, Damon, in the old downstairs department?
Let me tell you. I'll tell you how we're looking. You want to see it? You want to get the video?
Send me a few snaps on what's happening.
Send you a couple screens. Look, it's clean.
File too large to send. Oh my goodness.
I gotta go to WeTransfer. Hey, let me tell you something. It's looking good down there. Looking good. Looking like $1 million. And you know why? It's our good friends at Manscaped who took care of Damon's nether regions with their fine products. That's right. Manscaped. You know what I'm talking about, right? Did you know, Joe, Manscaped is, speaking of hockey, they're the official ball groomer of the Montreal Canadiens.
They are everywhere. They're sponsoring Arsenal Fan TV as well. One of my buddies who's on that, Ty, I used to go with him on the coach. We used to do coach journeys together to Arsenal away games. So I've known this guy for... 2004 was the first time I went, so a very long time. And now he's doing little adverts at the start of these Arsenal Fan TV videos where he's shaving a kiwi fruit to promote the Lawnmower 3.0. Amazing. It's everywhere.
Look at that. Look at that. It's everywhere. Manscaped's everywhere, kids. I got news for you. And the reason is they have a great product and great products. Let's talk about some of them. The Lawnmower 3.0. 3.0. Wow, they just keep getting better and better. Improvements and an advancement in ball shaving technology. I mean, look, why bother putting people in space? Why bother? We've got all the technology we need right here on Earth. Lawnmower 3.0. Get you cleaned up, get you shaved down. No nicks, not a cut to be had. In a very, very, very sensitive area, Joel, as you are well aware. Cleans it right up. Fantastic. The deodorants and the invigorators and the products to make you smell like $1 million. That's what it's all about. That's science for you. That's technology for you. And that's Manscaped. And you can get on board. Look, summer's coming right around the corner here in the States, Joe. And you know what that means. That means sticky, stinky, smelly. Ugh. You ain't going to get blown. I'm telling you that right now. It ain't happening unless you're doing some preventative maintenance, and that's where Manscaped comes in. So, get on it. JCast. JCast is the code, right? You go to manscaped.com, give it a shot. Try it out. I guarantee you'll love it. JCast, 20% off, free shipping. That is a great deal that we're giving you. You know you want to try it. You know you heard us talking about it a million times. And you know I use it, and you know I love it. Love it. Highly recommended from me, a guy who has plenty of pubes. Not anymore. A guy who, in the summer, look, I'm going to be honest, probably not the best smelling down there. Nah, man. Manscaped took care of that for me as well. And I'll tell you right now, the results matter. Results matter. And we'll just leave it at that. The missus loves it. So look, JCast is code. Manscaped.com is where you want to go. Get yourself hooked up for the summer. Clean it up. Smell nice. 20% off. Free shipping at manscaped.com. That's manscaped.com. The Montreal Canadiens know. Arsenal TV knows. Super JCast knows. Get on it, manscaped.com. 20% off. Free shipping at manscaped.com. Thank you, Manscaped.
So back to Wrestling Dontaku Night 2, we were supposed to get a IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match with El Desperado defending against Yo, but that was pulled from the card. And unfortunately, 2 wrestlers have tested positive for COVID, which is not good news at all. We wish them all the best. We don't know who they are, and I'm not particularly interested in speculating who it is right now, but just hoping, definitely the right decision there, hoping everyone else is okay and that they're getting plenty of time to rest and are not rushed back. Even if they were big names who are supposed to be taking part in the first Wrestle Grand Slam show, don't rush them back. It's safety first.
100%. 100%. I know that there was chitter chatter, when news was going down, of cards being in jeopardy. And right now, nothing's in jeopardy, right? Nothing's... They just took them.
There's nothing been announced, Damon. We've got a stadium show coming up in about 2 weeks with not a single match announced. So it's hard to think what would have been in jeopardy because we don't know what's on the freaking show.
That is amazing, isn't it? We talked. We did our praising. Now let's start hammering home the
fucking knives out, Damon.
It is amazing how we have this massive show and. Whew, We don't know shit. We're assuming stuff, right? We're assuming we're not even we can't. I don't even think we can assume a lot of things.
There was supposed to be 3 Road to Korakuen shows that would have set the table for this, but they've been pulled because of the state of emergency, which again is right decision. I'm not complaining about that at all. I think we might get some card announcements tomorrow because today's a public holiday, and we could have waited until tomorrow to record, but then we'd have nothing to talk about next week. So hopefully next week when we record, we'll have a lineup for that Yokohama Stadium show. But it is a bit weird to have nothing.
Yeah, it is.
They could have set some. Surely they could have set some stuff up on these Dontaku shows, but they've hinted at stuff, but nothing official yet. So we'll have to wait and see.
Well, let's put it this way. There's nothing where, is there anything that's even being speculated that you're excited for?
I'm expecting we're going to get Cobb versus Ibushi at one of these shows, and likewise GOD defending the tag titles against Dangerous Tekkers at either Yokohama or Tokyo Dome. There's talk of Jay White defending his never openweight title against David Finlay, presumably one of these shows as well. But
that gets you excited?
Well, should we talk about the Never Openweight Championship? All right. So this was the main event from Dontaku Night 1. Never Openweight Championship match with the challenger, Jay White, defeating the champion, Hiroshi Tanahashi, in 39 minutes with the Blade Runner. Black Sentai says, how do you feel about Jay White spending part of his promo time on non-New Japan wrestlers when there's no chance of building a match with? Speaking of the builds and Jay White's part in this, I think the lack of the build really hurt this one. Obviously Jay wasn't in the country for most of it. It just felt like it had very little heat, and it's going to take a while for the Never Openweight title to earn this new spot, because I said before, functionally, it's the new Intercontinental title, but it doesn't have the history to justify that spot. Because most of this Jay Tanahashi feud seems to be built around who had the better six-pack, which, is silly and fun, but it's not an appropriate build to a 40-minute main event. And it was a classic Jay White control match, but I don't know, Damon, for whatever reason, this one just did not land with me. The lack of a build, we've seen this match many times before, maybe the clap crowds, the weak undercard. I just was not in the mood for 40 minutes of this. And when Tanahashi first won this Never title, I'd really hoped that Tanahashi was going to work Never title matches rather than the Never title match. The Never titles working Tanahashi matches. And it's to me, it's sad that spot for fun undercard singles title that you're going to have 50-minute hard-hitting bangers in, that's gone now. That's not what the Never title is. The Never title is the IC title now. It's that holding pattern title for main eventers who aren't in the title scene. And this match was fine. Leg selling was inconsistent. They kind of blew it off after about 10 minutes and then remembered it a bit later. But everything else was good. There were nice callbacks to their previous matches, like the bit with the high fly flow reverse into the Blade Runner attempt, which led to the title changing hands back in 2019. The TTO Tanahashi tap out was worked in well. I think it should have finished the match. I mean, if you're doing a whole build about wanting to tap each other out and working each other's knees and laying in your submission moves at dramatic moments, just end the match with a damn submission. I mean, if Tanahashi had tapped out after 23 minutes, I would be throwing flowers at this, Damon. But this feud and this Never title, to me, doesn't justify a 40-minute match. I mean, that's insane. It peaked 15 minutes before they actually took it home. It just kept going and going and going. And I just, we talked about Ospreay and Shingo getting the pacing spot on. I felt the pacing and the structure was all wrong here. Why are they doing an elbow exchange after 30 minutes when they've been trying to grab each other's legs before that? The bit with Jay mocking Tanahashi and helping him stand up and then getting lariated in the teeth, that was good. I really liked Tanahashi landing the high fly flow onto Jay's knee and then going for the cloverleaf. That was great, but it didn't need the Gedo interference. I don't think we need to protect Tanahashi like that with a visual tap out at this point. And then it's the usual reversal dance and the Blade Runner out of nowhere. Very smoothly executed. It looked great, but it was just a bit incongruous with the entire dramatic crux of this match being attacking each other's knees and wanting to get that submission. And then the match just ends the same way all of Jay White's wins do. And I did rewatch it today. I liked it a lot more in rewatch in double speed. But at the time, it just felt too long. It was too long, too flabby. Some really good stuff in there, but needed to trim some of that fat if we're going to stick with the analogy of Tanahashi's belly. So how did it land with you?
It was good. It's noticeable for me that Tanahashi is a guy that will make things look like it makes. He's a guy that can make things look like he's giving more effort than he physically can, if that makes any sense. It's not as though he's 10 years ago Tanahashi or even 8 years ago Tanahashi. He does things in such a manner that makes you feel like things are progressing. But if you really watch, it's not like he's, moving at warp speed or even, speed of him 10 or 5 years ago. Very deliberate. And then you add that with Jay White, who is already very deliberate, and you get a very deliberate pro wrestling style match, which, again, does not necessarily mean equal bad. It just means that you fall into these ideas of, okay, you knew, well, I mean, you knew just by looking at the timestamp too, but you knew from the minute the bell rang that this match was going to be one of those 35-minute matches. And sometimes I feel like it's like, it doesn't matter who or what is in that spot on the card. It has to be that timestamp. It has to be that length. And I don't understand that. Like, it's
exhausting, isn't it? It makes me dread watching it, and you just you tune out for the first 50 minutes because you know nothing's going to happen.
Right. That's a major problem, but it doesn't even matter who is in that spot. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so that could have been Junior tag title, right? In main event, and it's going 35.
They did that. They did that. They dragged out the junior tag title match, like Hiromu versus Sho earlier in the year. Well, that's a main event. That's going 35 minutes, and I just don't understand why they're doing it.
Right, but if you put that match, in, I hate to say this, the normal, never open weight championship match, that's third from the top, that's going 15 minutes. In any other show, but just because it got moved to the main event, now it's what happens? What miracle happens that now it goes 30 minutes, 35 minutes? Again, the argument can be made if we really want to stretch it. Is these guys, they're main event guys, and there are two main event guys going against each other. So then, they have the skills to act each other and defend each other and offense. You're not going to put them away easily, so it has to go 35 minutes. But I just can't buy it. Like, it's not the title; it's the wrestlers, and you know what I mean. And those two guys are top guys. Okay, so, but it is that it's the fact that it could have been anybody, and the proof is in the pudding. In the sense that they did it with the junior tags. I don't know. That's frustrating because to me that just feels cookie cutter. That just feels like there's a template that needs to be filled, and we're just going to move bodies.
Right.
We're just going to move bodies around.
Maybe it's a symptom of having these shorter cards where you've only got 6 matches on the card, so they think, we've got to give people their money's worth and have very long main events and co-main events. But especially given the nature of the crowds, that they're only doing clap crowds that can't really react to a match like this in the way that a proper crowd could, I think less is more sometimes. I mean, you look at Strong and how, personally speaking, I enjoy those matches. So, I mean, we talk about the undercard singles title where you get fun 15-minute intense matches. That title is on Strong now. That's the Strong openweight title, basically. That's where it's gone. So if you want those kind of matches, that's where you got to go, because it doesn't seem like you're going to get them on the main roster anytime soon. I mean, at the end of this match, we had Jay White calling himself the belt collector. So Matt says, with Jay White essentially calling out Omega, do you believe that would be the right feud for Kenny if he does wind up working New Japan again? Personally, I think Kenny Omega getting involved with New Japan is inevitable at this point. It is coming sooner or later. Personally, I think they wait until we're allowed proper international travel and full crowds again, so you can really take advantage of it. Honestly, I think Omega versus Ospreay is the match you want to make, because setting aside how exhausting the discourse would be over that, I would be excited to see what they come up with, personally.
Yeah. I mean, I think you got a built-in White Omega coming back, Bullet Club kind of. We say it a lot. This is the Civil War. I mean, that's built in. But yeah, Will would be pretty spectacular too. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, I think it's inevitable. And yeah, you wait till you get full capacity for that. So, fingers crossed. Because here's the thing: as much as the Discord would be. Just that's when you start deleting accounts right there. That being said, the match would be pretty spectacular, I would think.
I mean, you mentioned how excited am I about David Finlay challenging. They've got great chemistry, and I know the match will be really good. So I would look forward to that one, even though I don't think there's any chance of David Finlay winning that, wherever that match winds up. But just Jay White, how are we feeling about Jay White? Because he is just, the matches are as good as always, but it's back to square one for him in terms of that character development, isn't it? Nothing's changed. I mean, obviously, with the benefit of hindsight, all that, the stuff with the promos after Wrestle Kingdom was just to make people think he was going to leave. And it worked, but just as his year goes on and we see absolutely no progression, breadcrumbs, nothing, no disharmony between him and Gedo or him and Evil, him and Bullet Club, there's just nothing there, and it's disappointing.
Listen, if he needs help getting his heat back, we can set out another rumor if you want. We could tweet something out, right?
That's what we're here for, isn't it?
We can help them. Come on. Yeah. Remember that? Remember the fucking how hot he was after that Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, was there a guy on planet Earth that was more had more buzz, more interest?
No, everyone was talking about him.
Yeah, that seems like it was a million years ago, doesn't it? That seems like it was a million years ago. I think Bullet Club is dry as toast. I could give zero fucks about Bullet Club at this point. And I don't care of any faction of it, any loose stray string, whether it be in Impact or AEW or Strong or New Japan Main, or I don't give a shit. I could care less about Bullet Club. Bullet Club to me, I mean, aside from Kenta at times, Bullet Club for me is almost an instant fast forward. Just, I have no interest. Zero. I want, here's give me the, I mean, what is interesting to you right now in the state of New Japan Pro Wrestling? What is interesting to you about Bullet Club?
I was interested in the potential of this Jay White Evil beef, but there's nothing there anymore.
I don't care. If they did that tomorrow, I'd be like, I don't give a shit. I mean, Evil is a fucking... Oh. They put...
Save it, Damon, save it.
Okay, all right.
Okay, can we... Speaking of Bullet Club, I'm interested to hear what you think of this one. So Bullet Club's Tama Tonga against Taichi in an Iron Finger from Hell ladder match, clocking in at 27 minutes, 11 seconds. Taichi gets the Iron Fingers from Hell. I mean, look, Damon, my favourite ladder match is, again, this is setting a very, very high bar, I know, but Royal Rumble 2001, Chris Benoit versus Chris Jericho, WrestleMania 10, Shawn Michaels against Razor Ramon, 18 minutes, those were. The TLC 2 at WrestleMania 17, Money in the Bank 1, those were 15-minute matches. Taichi versus Tama Tonga, 27 minutes. Come on, guys.
Right.
Not necessary. And again, like, you know, we're talking about Tanahashi versus Jay going too long. It's this. None of this is in isolation. This is a wider trend, I feel, in New Japan with most matches or matches that are in the 5th and 6th match slot on the card going 10 minutes longer than they should. And so this was a big old mess. You know, well, first of all, why is there a referee there? You could tell early on neither guy had any intention of taking any big bumps, which I don't blame them for. But why bother with this stipulation in the first place? Because, you know, all the best bits of this match involved Doki. And I was, you know, imagining the situation, you know, Taichi and Tama Tonga backstage sort of laying out the match and just arguing like, oh, come on, one of us has got to take a big bump. One of us has got to go through a ladder. I'm not doing it. No, I'm not fucking doing it. And then Doki walks past and they're like, hey Doki, come in here for a second.
Right.
And I mean, of course, this just turned into a big overbooked mess. Gedo, Doki, Zack, Tangaloa getting involved. I mean, it basically turned into the same 6-man match that they've done 15 times, but with a ladder sporadically involved. And it did have its fun moments, like the Doki bump through the table, the choke slam off the ladder was cool, the gun stun reversal at the end with Tama Tonga eating shit and going through the table. I like the tributes to Iizuka at the end, you know, playing his music, Taichi doing the sumo prize money acceptance gesture. He was getting very spiritual and philosophical at the end in his post-match stuff. But it did not need to be that long. I mean, skip the first 15 minutes and you'll have a good time with this.
I thought this was just awful. It was terrible. I just, like, again, the idea of those two guys in this match, like going through, then they're doing the old, oh, I can barely get off a fucking ladder. Why is a ladder in pro wrestling the slowest thing on earth? like you could time people climbing a ladder with a calendar. It is brutal. I fucking hate it. And you knew none of them. Like, well, let's put it this way: I didn't know any of them were not going to take a bump. Like it just felt like neither of these guys wanted to be in it in the first place. And now they're trying
that's what I don't know. Whose idea was this? Who decided to have this ladder match? Because it did not look like it was Taichi or Tama Tonga's idea. Because if it was, and they were bringing that stipulation to the table, they'd be, doing a load of crazy shit, presumably.
Right. Like, if somebody said, like, again, of all the people on that roster that are throughout the history of New Japan, or at least, modern times, those two guys are going to... Fucking Taichi went years without taking serious bumps, like just regular bumps. Like he was known as the laziest guy in pro wrestling. Oh my goodness gracious! It was just such a waste of time. And again, the idea of the ladder match is the car crash element, and you had to pull somebody that's not even involved. Like it just. Like, the guy is not even in the match, and he's the guy taking the biggest bump of that fucking match was Doki, right? Like, if anybody's going to remember anything, it's Doki. He's not even in the match. Like, it's just preposterous. Like, what? I mean, they could, no, a ladder match. It was just horrible. Oh, for fuck's sake. That's the shit that just leaves you scratching your head. And that's and truth be told, that's the stuff that's why people are bailing out. Like nobody cared about it. Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted this. No one wanted this. And everybody saw those poor guys aren't going to take a fucking bump like that. You had to get Doki to do it. And then again, all the misdirection and all the fucking hocus pocus that needed to be done just to get through 27 minutes. What is the obsession with this? This match should be 10 minutes, for crying out loud. 10 minutes. Fucking unbelievable. Just frustrating bullshit. All right, I'm done.
Let's talk about the fourth match, which was the rights to challenge the IWGP Tag Team Championship match with Zack Sabre Jr. pinning Tanga Loa in 15 minutes 12 seconds after an arm lock. Doesn't sound right to me, but anyway. I was viewing this match, Damon, through the lens of the race for a G1 spot, because we got people like Tanga Loa, Hinare, David Finlay, Great O'Khan, and limited G1 spots up for grabs. So every time there is a singles match, that is a commodity. We don't see them too often in New Japan, even in this content era. So when you have a singles match like this against a high-profile opponent like Zack, you need to go out and impress. And I thought this match was pretty good, but I'm not sure pretty good is good enough to put yourself at the front of that queue. And I mean, I don't know what Tanga Loa's intentions are. He might want to branch out into singles. Maybe he wants to be in the G1, or he might not. He might be happy doing tag work. But he's certainly been given more singles matches this year than he has in the past. And there are green shoots there for a singles future. But if that's something he's interested in pursuing, then I think he needs a lot more singles matches under his belt, and also a new coat of paint. Because as one half of GOD, I don't think that's going to cut it. And like I said, this was good. It wouldn't have been out of place, I think, as an undercard G1 match, like the second block match on the show. But the bar is high. If you want to be in that top 20, I need to see more. I need to see some extra gears from Tanga Loa. And we've seen those extra gears in some of the high-profile GOD tag matches over the last few months, but I haven't seen evidence of it in the singles matches yet. So what did you think?
Name a great singles match from Tama Tonga. This guy has been in...
Tama Tonga or Tanga Loa?
Tanga Loa, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, he hasn't had that many. That's the thing. I mean, he had a Yoshihashi match a month or so ago, which it was decent. It was fine, but not setting the world on fire. I mean, prior to that, there are very, very few. I mean, I recall him having a pretty bad one against Yuji Nagata in the 2017 New Japan Cup, and after that, there was nothing for several years. So it's a pretty small sample size to pick from.
Yeah. If I'm not putting him in G1. Here's what they should be doing. These nonsense Korakuen shows that you know you're going to get plenty of as the year goes on. Why not have a qualifying tournament for all these guys?
Yes. I said
Right?
that on Twitter a few days ago. That would be the ideal way to make these Road to shows meaningful. Have a little, it could be like an elimination with brackets or a little round robin with all these sort of contenders, guys are on the fringe. Maybe guys who were in the G1 and didn't do so well, like, stick a Yoshihashi in there, make him fight to retain his spot in the G1. Put a Yujiro in there so, you have some stakes to these things. So, yeah, that will be a great idea. Another idea that's just popped in my head, if you want to get Tangaloa over the singles guy, have him in some singles matches against some young lions. Have him have some squash matches. He's a big dude. He's powerful. Let's see it from him.
Yeah. I right now I would not put him in. He would not make the cut. Yeah. Mm-mm. There's too many. There's too many other guys that I would rather see than him. If he's, let's just assume, and it's hard to do because we've been wrong many times before, but let's just assume people can get into the country. Are you? Is Juice in?
I would lean towards no. I would rather have O'Khan in there. I'd rather have David Finlay in there.
Okay.
At this rate, and if you can bring in people from abroad, I can think of a load of other guys on Strong who I'd rather see than Juice at this point.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think it's, but he's a guy that's been in G1 before, right? It's like he's going to be a hard guy that you're going to move out of the way. Like Juice is in G1, right? They're not going to just drop him and not put him in.
Yes.
Like the people that would be on the bubble, like Yujiro, is Yano in?
Yeah, he's always in. He's the night off, as we always say.
Right. Is Suzuki in?
That's very much up to him. In terms of he missed out in 2019. Back in last year, I thought he was great last year and very, very valuable addition to the G1. But I think it's just up to him. He's getting on a bit. Does he want to put himself through that? If he wants to still do it, you put him in. Yeah, he's not a guy that I would say, no, I'm not going to put you in this year, mate. I think if he wants to go, he's in.
Right. The problem is that there are guys that have to lose, right? So anybody who's taking spots, like the spots that are up for grabs, are spots where people are eating pins. Is it going to kill people if Tangaloa eats pins? That's how he gets in.
No, but even then, I think you have guys like Hinare and O'Khan who can eat pins and probably eat pins better than Tangaloa eats them.
Yeah.
David Finlay.
I would go Hinare over Tangaloa. Right?
Okay, so give me a ranking then of those guys. So O'Khan, David Finlay, Hinare, Tangaloa for potential G1 entry.
I think O'Khan is top of the list. I think both O'Khan and Hinare. I think the people that would be on the bubble, Jay White.
No, not Jay White.
I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I'm thinking Jay White versus David Finlay. And,
okay, yeah.
And if that's a pretty decent profile match, and David Finlay's losing, but still it's a pretty high profile match. Like, how do you not put him in? I don't think Tangaloa is in. I don't think Tangaloa is in.
No.
Of all the guys that you mentioned, I would put all of them above Tangaloa. And here's the thing too: they're not even going to be the tag champions. So it's not even like, okay, we got the tag champs that are in the tournament. Like, they're not even that anymore. Or hopefully they won't be. You know what I mean? No, there's too many guys. I mean, look. I mean, they're not going to do any more juniors, so that eliminates Show, right? Which is weird because he's like a tweener heavyweight junior thing. No, there's not many spots open, dude. There's not many spots open. I don't know. Tongalo is not in this fucking G1.
Okay, then let's circle back to Wrestling Satsuma no Kuni on Thursday, April 29th. This was night 2 in Kagoshima. Mainly just want to talk about the main event here, the special tag match between Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi, defeating the Empire team of Eren Hanare and Jeff Cobb, 17 minutes 4 seconds. So Ibushi pinning Hanare after 17 minutes. And again, good match. I liked it, but I was very disappointed that Hanare got pinned. And I think maybe we need to recalibrate our expectations. Do you think we were or are expecting too much too soon from Hanare? Should we be satisfied with the fact that he is in a more high-profile spot? He's getting big singles matches and main events here, and he's part of a hot faction, but he's not going to be picking up any significant wins.
Then what's the point? I guess is
well, so that Empire can have 8-man tag matches, and so you've got someone to eat the pins in these matches because you don't want any of those other 3 guys taking them. It's a shame because we talked about this Hinare Cobb tag team and the potential they had, to be something looking like the Steiners or whatever, with Bigelow and Vader, two big lads like this. And this would have been the perfect jumping off point. And that's not to say that they can't heat them up again if they want to have them in the tag title scene. But this was a great opportunity. But, they decided to go with a feel-good hometown boy, Ibushi, his first match on this tour, getting the win with his buddy Tanahashi. And it was okay, but I don't know. Maybe
what is the long-term benefit of that, though? You had people go home with a smile on their face for 10 seconds? As opposed to, we've just made a dominant tag team, stars, get a massive win over 2 stars. Like the long-term positives of having Hanare and Cobb destroy Tanahashi and Ibushi. And you already have this kind of, you can do the little playback thing where Ibushi and Tanahashi, always had their troubles, they all that nonsense that was earlier. Look, you could have, again, the long term. It's pro wrestling 101 to me. I don't understand why what would be like the idea of just having them lose in 17 minutes. As opposed to going in and being dominant and getting a big win quickly. I don't know. Now what you got is a pin eater in a faction. That's what. Instead of establishing the fact that you have a dominant fucking tag team that people will care about, what you've established is this guy's the fucking pin eater in this team. What? That's not what you want to do, right? Am I out of my fucking mind on this one? Help me here. You've established the fact that this guy we can't take seriously. We've established that this tag team is okay. I don't get that. I don't fucking get that at all. That of anything the weekend that I'm fucking finger wagging besides that horse shit fucking ladder match and that nonsense pull the mask on people bullshit with fucking Evil. That was right up there with what the fuck is this company thinking? They have a golden opportunity and they just go with the easy peasy fucking whatever. That one sucked. That sucked. And I'm not a guy that's going to get too fucking wound up over a finish. But it just didn't make any sense to me. Why? There was no positive in having Tanahashi and Ibushi get that win aside from, yay, okay, let's go home. That's it.
Yeah, can't really disagree with any of that. So, disappointment there. Missed opportunity. Let's circle back then to night 1 of Wrestling Satsuma no Kuni. And the main event there was the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match. Sho and Yo successfully defending against Kanemaru and Desperado. Oh, look, it's 27 minutes again after the Strong X. I mean, David, this is the best match that I have nothing to say about. Anything, all the good stuff, all the praise I've had for Roppongi 3K against Kanemaru and Desperado, I've done probably about 8 or 9 times already in the lifespan of this podcast. I mean, it was a good match. Kanemaru was particularly great, but 27 minutes long, didn't need to be that long. And Roppongi 3K are champions, still champions. It's just, it's creatively bankrupt to me. And again, I'm trying not to judge New Japan against my fantasy booking scenarios, which we both kind of knew that was not going to happen. What we wanted to happen with one of these guys turning on the other one, or at least not yet. And I'll come away from this match, which was a good match, with a bad taste in my mouth, both because the thing that in fantasy land I wanted to happen didn't happen, and also because this also went 27 fucking minutes.
I mean, it was a good match, but there was nothing to, like, there's nothing memorable. It was a match. They had a 27-minute good solid pro wrestling match.
Yeah, I watched it live and then I rewatched it again today because I thought I've got to have something to say about this. Rewatched it again, still nothing. I got nothing to say about it.
Right. What is there to say? They've wrestled 716 times. Always have a good match. They put them in a main event. That box had to be filled. They went close to 30 minutes, and they had a good match, and that was it. No, nothing. Like, just that's it. Turn on the lights. We're going. Time to, like, imagine buying a ticket to that. Whew. Like, I don't know. How do you? I'm not saying everything has to be hot shotted. I'm not saying everything there has to be an angle and there has to be, but this was just there. It was just there, and I don't know. like it just felt like. And here's the thing too. This show, it felt like this was a show because they had to put on a show. It didn't feel like it was anything. Like, was there anything that you would say, Damon, go out of your way to watch X on this show? Like, what would that be for you?
No, not at all. No. And this is the thing, right? The matches like this, Roppongi 3K versus Kanemaru Desperado, should be the 12-minute opener on a big show, not a 27-minute main event. And this is the problem when there's all these shows, all these content, you've got to balance the books, you're spreading them all out thinly, they're all going long, that you lose that sort of rhythm and the excitement of having a top-to-bottom stacked show where, you should have this match doing 12 minutes or a never title match doing 15 minutes. But you're taking each one of those matches and making it a main event of itself, and they just all become a big mush, don't they? Yeah. Certainly nothing stands out, and certainly nothing feels like it's anything that anybody needs to go out of their way to watch. It felt like they had a building, they have wrestlers. We need to put on a show, and we need to get in and we need to get out. Nobody gets hurt. Let's just get to Dontaku. And that's really, honestly, that's what it felt like to me. It was like, let's just get to Dontaku. And the fifth match on this show was KOPW 2021 Creation of Darkness blindfold match. Toru Yano defeating Evil in... I didn't believe this when I saw it, 14 minutes, 58 seconds. It felt at least twice as long as that. Schoolboy Yano retains KOPW 2021. I'm quite excited, actually, to see what you have to say about this match, because I'm hoping you just drop your pants and take a big, hot, steaming shit over it, because it was offensively bad, Damon. This is like one of the worst matches I've ever seen since being a New Japan fan. Look, I'm being very serious when I say this. This is the shit that turns people completely off. It's Monday Night Raw shit, isn't it?
It's worse. It's worse. It's just mind-numbingly like you're pushing people to the brink of logging off. You're pushing people to the brink of saying this is not for me. This is not for me. Evil, I'm telling you flat out, I cannot watch. When we talk about content that skip, Evil is front and center on that fucking list.
I'll tell you what, he is the heel Yano at this point, isn't he?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Him and Dick Togo can get right up the fucking street. If I were to tell you that last year, this man...
No, you're going to be giving me this shit, all these people on Twitter saying, oh, he was double champion last year. I don't believe it. You're having me on. This is some sort of conspiracy. I have no recollection of this man being double champion. Like, Evil. This guy who's yucking it up with Yano and Dick Togo in gimmick matches. You're telling me he was world champion? He was holding one of the most prestigious titles in professional wrestling? Bullshit.
Yeah. I'm here to tell you it's true. It happened.
Can we go back and delete all those old episodes where I was defending him? Because I'm eating a fucking huge L here. I thought it would come good eventually once he found his feet, but it somehow managed to get worse.
Yeah.
How's that happened?
Managed to get worse. Yeah. We were all like, man, Evil just needs a new coat of paint, something fresh. Give him a little spark, and then boom, the turn, the new gear. Bullet Club, boom, he goes away, wins the title. It shook everything up. Everybody's, it rattled everyone when we definitely needed to be rattled because we were in the middle of fucking everyone not knowing what the world was going to look like. It was just a crazy time. This guy has fallen off a cliff.
Undercard comedy jobber.
Not only that, he's Jimmy Valiant. He's fucking Jimmy Valiant and Baron von Raschke. He's the honky-tonk man right now. He's the fucking honky-tonk man.
He's Bone Soldier.
Yeah, he's Bone Soldier. Yes. He is unwatchable. Do you think he stays up late at night and looks at the fucking ceiling and think, what's happening? Like that's the question. Like, whose
fault is this? Is it his fault or is it the fault of Dick Togo or whoever the fuck is booking him into oblivion?
I'm saying flat out, it's these kind of things. Now again, if this Will Ospreay Shingo match did not happen. And I will say this as well, like that's not the booking. The booking didn't say go out there and have a fucking fantastic match, right? Like they had a fantastic match. They went out there and did that. That's not Gedo. That's not the fucking committee. That's not Dick Togo. That's not fucking whoever, right? They went out there and had a great match. The booking made Evil. The booking makes Dick Togo. The booking makes 30-minute junior tag matches. The booking makes 30-minute never title matches. The big problem here, like we talked a lot about the positive, and it's really centered around a match. But you look at this entire company, and it is just fucking head-scratching. What we're doing here. Head scratching. Not even head scratching. People are jumping off the goddamn ship. And I'm going to say something here. How much rope are we giving Gedo? When is enough enough? It's been over a year. Again, he's built a lot of good faith in that heavyweight title situation, right? But every booker has a shelf life. And there's only so many creative ideas that work that, that a committee or a booker has. And I'm going to ask, and I'll ask of the listeners, how much rope are we given here? Is it time for a change? Do we need a new manager? Do we need a new coach? It's been a long time, and it doesn't feel like we're getting any better. Now, again, COVID, travel restrictions, all the trouble. This management group, and specifically the people who are making the pro wrestling decisions, something is lost. And I feel like I'm at the end of my rope. And I would not have a problem if a new, fresh voice and a new, fresh decision maker and a new, fresh leader was brought in. How's that?
Should be you, Damon. You're getting my vote. Give
Wow.
Damon the book. # give Damon the book.
Give me the book. We'd be out of business in fucking 2 months. Jushin Liger is the IWG. He's back from retirement. What? Here's
We've
the thing.
got
It's a very
another
tough job.
ladder match with a Manscaped 3.0 hanging from the ceiling.
Yes. The return of Madonna and Casey. Look, it's a very tough job. And again, he had a fantastic run. It's been over a year. This is not like it's been a couple months. And again, COVID, I get that. I'm not comfortable or confident in saying that I'm clear on the direction. Like, honestly, what is the thing that people are hanging their hats on? An AEW reunion and some kind of partnership. That's what people are hanging their hopes on. Not anything within the company. They're hanging their hopes on Kenny Omega coming and jump-starting this promotion again.
I said that, Dan. I said on Twitter that I think now New Japan have put themselves into a situation where, in terms of their Western fandom is concerned, they need that.
No! Don't open it!
The forbidden door.
Because it seems that Western fan interest is in the shitter right now. And it's because of crap like this, with Yano and Evil having a 15-minute blindfold match. Who is that for?
I don't know. That's a great. I don't know. I don't know. It's certainly not for us. Now, again, you could be like, well, the Japanese fans love it. Do they? Do they? Were they going nutso over this?
I mean, no, we can't speak for the Japanese fans. Yeah. We don't know. I mean, we know a handful, not as many as we would like. But, I mean, in terms of the Western fan base, interest is at an all-time low, isn't it? I mean, I tell you what, Dave, keeping that question in mind about Western fan interest in the product, and a question from Count Out Pod. He says, seeing that nowadays feels like a transition, what was the transition years like in New Japan following Inokiism in 2006 and 2007, then subsequently the introduction of Okada in 2012? Does it feel similar to today? So, yeah, what's your feeling on this lull at the moment, and how does it compare historically to other periods you've been through as a fan?
From a Western perspective, it kind of felt like pro wrestling was back. Like, I was not a huge fan of the MMA-inspired pro wrestling. You know, that really didn't do anything for me. So for me, it was a bit of a exciting period. Actually, I felt like it was more pro wrestling that I wanted to see as opposed to pseudo MMA. And again, I wouldn't even call it strong style. It just felt like it was pro wrestling again. Like, to me, the idea of like Josh Barnett and, I was just like, ugh. And that's not a knock on Josh Barnett. It was just like, this is just not what I'm here for. So is it similar? No, it actually feels different. This feels more of we're lost and we're spinning as opposed to there's light at the end of the tunnel to get away from that MMA fixation. And here's the thing, I can understand why the company did it, just because MMA was on fire. Like MMA was just, between Pride and even UFC to a certain degree, and all the offshoot pseudo MMA pro wrestling. I mean, even when it started with UWF and UWFI and rings, and there's a long history of that, and that made a lot of money in Japan. So, everybody kind of wanted to hook their wagon to it. So, no, it felt like it was more refreshing than the changes, as opposed to now, where again it just feels like we're on a rudderless ship.
And seeing John Moxley versus Yuji Nagata for the IWGP US title announced for Dynamite, I've got a few questions about that. But before we get into the questions for that, I mean, how much do you think New Japan needs AEW to kickstart Western fan interest, or do you think they can do it on their own terms?
I don't think they can do it on their own terms. If they do it, they're running like small buildings. It's not like they were running massive buildings before, but I think it would be a grave mistake for them to think that they can come into any building and sell it out. I mean, smaller buildings, okay, yeah, but they're not running arenas. Even at their height, they couldn't do that. We saw that with Dallas. Yeah, I mean, if they want to run bigger buildings, they're going to have to. I mean, they can run. Even when they ran the small buildings, though, it wasn't like it was. They were packed, but I don't know. Were they sold out? I'm not sure. It's going to be tough. They would need some help. They would need some help. And what would they bring? I mean, like, what would be the if they? It would just be the. I don't know. They would need help.
Spannerhead says, is Okada versus Shingo the only viable headline match for Dominion that makes sense? So this is assuming that Okada beats Ospreay at Wrestle Grand Slam in Tokyo Dome and then goes on to defend it against Shingo at Dominion. Spannerhead says, feel that's the only match they could do that doesn't require the build, since you can immediately play off the New Japan Cup match. Reason I ask is Dominion is exactly 1 week after the Tokyo Dome, and there's only 3 Road 2 shows in between.
Wow. 1 week? Really? I'll tell you the truth. I don't want Okada to win. I think there's more juice in stretching this out a little bit. I really do. I would prefer Will winning. And maybe have Okada win at the Dome in January. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, the idea of Okada winning the title back doesn't excite me. I am enjoying, I mean, from an in-ring standpoint at least, Ospreay as champion. I know I might be on an island with that. I mean, there's plenty of people who hate having him as champion, for whatever reason, fair enough. But I'm not one of these people that's sort of looking ahead thinking, when's he going to lose it? Who's going to be the next person to take it off him? But, I mean, if you put that gun to my head, again, this is going to be spicy. I think the person who takes the belt off him should be Kenny Omega.
That would... Look, that would... Oh, my God. I'm just thinking of where this company would be if Kenny Omega won that title. Like, ooh, are we ready for that? Look, it makes sense from that TV show would be must watch.
I mean, look, it's never going to happen. Like, politically, no. It's completely impossible. But I think it would be very fun and exciting for the meltdowns from the fandom.
Yes.
But it would make sense. Have a big cross-promotional show when things are opening up towards the end of the year. Champion versus champion, whose brand is stronger. Let them do a crazy main event. Kenny wins the belt, takes it back to Dynamite. New Japan fans are going mental. What? I can't believe this guy's got the title. What's going on? And then the hunt begins. Which of the New Japan guys is going to be the one to win back the pride for New Japan? Is it going to be Jay White getting atonement and completing his babyface turn? Is it going to be Ibushi continuing his feud with Kenny and managing to make amends for fucking about with the title at the start of this year? Is it going to be Naito? Is it going to be Okada revisiting their incredible feud that they had? Is it going to be someone else? So I think there'd be a lot of interesting things you could do there, but there's about a 0.5% chance of that actually happening.
Yeah. Pretty amazing that would be the most entertaining and exciting scenario. Work on making your own guys stars. Why don't we? Yeah, it would be tough sledding for them to make any kind of headway here in the States again. That's for sure. No TV. How's that Roku shit going down? How's that working?
It's very, they're putting on old matches. I think the most recent one I saw this week, they're putting on like Okada against Hiromu from last year's Empty Arena New Japan Cup. I don't think it's going to get set the Western fandom on fire, to be honest.
Tough. I mean, it's a tough world we live in right now, Joel. It's a tough world we live in.
All right, well, let's briefly touch on Strong, which was an LA Dojo showcase. We had TJP beating the DKC in 7 minutes 39 seconds. We had Fred Rosser and Ren Narita beating Kevin Knight and Alex Coughlin in 12 minutes 36. And main event with Carl Fredericks defeating Clark Connors in 80 minutes 19 seconds. Don't have a great deal to say about this show. It was good. It's always good. Strong is always good. But, we know that this is an excellent crop of young lions that Shibata is helping to develop. And just more of the same here. There were some highlights. I thought the exchanges between Fred Rosser and Kevin Knight were particularly exciting in that tag match in the middle of the show. And seeing Carl Fredericks and Clark Connors go 18 minutes in the main event, again, that was really good stuff. These are guys that have got a history. And they really started laying into each other by the end. You could tell that there was a lot of pride at stake for the pair of them, wanting to be the standout, the top boy of that dojo class. So it's just, good, solid wrestling every week and good to shine a light on those talents. And I still think that Clark Connors is the guy with the highest ceiling. I think he's the most technically accomplished and the most exciting person that they got in that dojo. But the floor is really high as it is. I don't think they got a bad guy in that group. So, if you want to touch base and see what guys like Ren Narita are up to these days and have a look at the new young lions like Kevin Knight and the DKC, this is definitely a good show to be parachuting into.
Mm-hmm. Yes or no? Anybody from Strong in G1?
I would love to see a lot of guys I would like to see. Lawler, Dickinson. Those are the two that are jumping out so far.
Yeah. What do you think the chances are?
Low. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think things will be
that'd be fucking cool,
technically
though.
viable. It would be great, wouldn't it?
I gotta find some way to make that happen. I don't know if he can do that with a schedule. I don't know if quarantining is in his future, but that title should mean you get in G1, right? When that title should mean you get in G1 automatically. Ticket is punched, and that would be pretty great. I'd be into that. Here's the problem: what are we gonna have? 46 fucking people in G1. You know what I mean? It's gonna be. The idea of having everybody that we would want to see in G1 is probably G1 would last until Christmas. So there's going to be a lot of great people. There's going to be I'm going to say a lot, but there's going to be a few people that are going to be snubbed, and people are going to be disappointed. I think so.
And can we briefly touch base on this Moxley against Nagata match on Dynamite? Mixelplick says, are you going to watch the Blue Justice match on Dynamite? I bet the old line gets a hero's welcome from the Jacksonville crowd. And Gig Me Like a Butcher who has provided us a brilliant edit of the Forbidden Door stinger, says, what do you think is going to happen in the Nagata versus Moxley match? Do you feel this will lead to another New Japan wrestler stepping up to challenge Mox? And Louis says, chances of Nagata winning the title. If he does, won't it be smart to let him stay over there for a time to defend it there rather than in Japan? Then someone from Strong wins it from him. So, I don't think there's any chance of Nagata beating him. I think the US title at this point is it's the Moxley title. It's the, we like Mox and we want to keep him involved in New Japan title at this point.
Yeah, I mean that's would make the most sense, wouldn't it? He's one of the bigger names in all of US pro wrestling right now, and any association with him is only a positive. And the fact that they're able to defend that title on a show that people watch, it's a positive. Yeah, so I like the fact that he's on. I will be watching. I'll watch it. And yeah, I think, look, it's the first time he's been on TNT since the 90s. I saw somebody say that back in his days in WCW. So yeah, it should be fun. That whole show looks pretty interesting. They got the War Games and everything, right? That's going to be on that show. It's tonight, right? Isn't it tonight?
I don't know, Damon. I was the wrong person. Yeah, noted AEW super fan here, but
oh, you're not? No. I think that show's going to be pretty good. I think that show's going to be pretty good. So I will tune in for that. Sure, why not? Unless you know what? I'll have two TVs. I'll have the split screen. I have a way to split screen my TV. So I will. I'll have the hockey game on. I'll have the Capitals and the Rangers, and for the fisticuffs there, and I'll have Dynamite on as well. That might be the way to go.
All right, well, we'll leave it there. I'll save the questions to next week because I think next week there will be a bit less to talk about. So let's say thank you to our sponsors, Manscaped, who you can use our code JCAST to get 20% off and free shipping. redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast if you want to throw some money our way. Always appreciated. Discord link is in the show notes. At Cobra Kawaii and ProWrestlingTees.com/SuperJcast if you want to get one of our t-shirts. Big thank you to Editor Dan. Find him on Twitter at LousyHero219. Subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Give us a 5-snake review and some kind words on iTunes to help us move up those charts. And I'll read them out on the show as well. Follow us on Twitter at the SuperJcast. Thank you everyone for listening and goodbye.
Introducing Guinness Nitro Cold Brew Coffee Beer, blending the smooth, creamy nitro taste of Guinness with hints of coffee, chocolate, and caramel. Guinness Nitro Cold Brew Coffee Beer, your new favorite part of the day. Look for it where Guinness is sold. Must be 21 and over to purchase. Please enjoy responsibly. Diageo Beer Company, New York, New York.